And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist Peter Chan with your Alaska Aviation Weather Outlook on this Saturday, January 11th, 2025. And this outlook is for Sunday into Monday, but we're starting off with a very active and stormy weather pattern. We've had initially an area of low pressure come up along into the western Gulf and an initial lead front that's connected back to another low off the southwest coast, eastern Bering Sea. That's provided, at least initially, late Friday night, some gusty winds coming up through Anchorage, temperatures briefly rising into the 40s, and we've had some gusty winds and areas of precipitation, but there is a stronger low that is going to be coming northward up into the eastern Bering southwest coast, and then a very powerful front with a very strong low-level and mid-level wind field that's going to ride up out of the North Pacific, right up along this entire region, the Western Gulf, Kodiak Island, Cook Inlet, the Kenai Peninsula, on up through the Chugach, Kenai Mountains, including Thompson Pass as we go through the Saturday night and during the day on Sunday. And as far as active weather, there is a winter storm warning for Thompson Pass. We have winter weather advisories across the Copper River Basin, other side of the Alaska Range, winter weather advisories north and northwest of Fairbanks, and snow amounts, certainly heavy blowing, drifting snow around Thompson Pass. Lighter snowfall here in the east central interior, and then back to the west we have numerous winter weather advisories, a winter storm warning for at least the southern half of the Seward Peninsula, and this is in effect through Monday morning. So this is going to be a very widespread, impactful system. Going into Sunday afternoon, we find IFR conditions along areas of the lower Copper River Basin into areas like Turnagain Arm down through Summit Lake, and then also out here along areas of the northeastern Gulf, northern Panhandle. There could be accumulating snow up there along areas of the Klondike and Haines highways, as well as we get into Sunday afternoon and especially Sunday night into Monday. Along the west coast, IFR conditions areas also along the southeast slopes here of the Brooks Range. We're going to have some blowing snow develop as well as we go through Sunday here along areas of the northwest Arctic coast as a result of just the tightening pressure gradient of this big low pressure sitting here with fronts riding northward. And as we go into Monday morning, we're still anticipating IFR conditions, especially interchannels, southern areas of the Panhandle up through Chilkoot and White, and then out here down across the Copper River Basin, McCarthy, on up into Talkeetna Mountains. We also have, again, along the southeast facing slopes here, the Brooks Range IFR conditions, and then down through the lower Chukchi, Seward Peninsula, Norton Sound, again, as that area of low pressure will be out through this region Monday afternoon. We find IFR conditions still along parts of the northern Gulf Coast, northern Panhandle, inner coastal mountains, outer and southern parts of the Panhandle, as there will be another low coming up out of the North Pacific into the Gulf here as we go into next week. But in the meantime, Anatuvik Pass, we're looking at IFR conditions on Sunday, lower ceilings, some areas of lighter snow. Adigan Pass, also IFR conditions. As we drop down across the Alaska Range, high wind warnings will be in effect for the Alaska Range. We're anticipating turbulence, especially through the gaps and along the ridge lines. Lake Clark and Merrill with upslope flow with that strong front working its way northward this Saturday night into Sunday morning. IFR conditions there, IFR conditions, Rainy Pass, again, turbulence, both those locations, all up through the Alaska Range. IFR conditions becoming MVFR at Windy Pass on Sunday. Isabel Pass, IFR maybe becoming MVFR. Same Mentasta Pass, VFR becoming MVFR conditions, though MVFR conditions are expected at the south entrance southward on Sunday. And as I mentioned, the Copper River Basin is under a winter weather advisory for accumulating snow, maybe even a little mixed precipitation possible in some areas, as there is going to be quite a windy push of mild air coming northward into the colder air that resides near the surface. Tanita Pass, MVFR conditions. Portage Pass will be IFR, especially there out into Prince William Sound. MVFR conditions along the west entrance on Sunday, and then the northern Panhandle Sunday, Chilkoot and White IFR conditions are expected. So we definitely have more of a signature indicating that warmer air being transported ahead of a strong front. When we look at the surface freezing line, runs into the southwest interior up along Cook Inlet. This is in the morning time because obviously this will flex and change because there's going to be quite a push of mild air on Sunday coming northward up into south central, southeast Alaska. In fact, temperatures like at Anchorage could be low mid 40s with windy conditions. Here we have freezing levels aloft, 6,000 feet across the Gulf, 8,000 feet as you get down toward the North Pacific and 10,000 feet further southward into the North Pacific. And it's this moisture being drawn northward. There's a very strong wind field that's coming up out of the North Pacific up over Kodiak Island, the western Gulf, the Kenai Peninsula. That's all just spreading northeastward as we go through the day on Sunday along and behind this front. So icing potential where we have this front, we have this moist, milder air, rain along the coast, even upwards few 3,000-4,000 feet into the mountains, but you get above that, it's snow, heavy snow. Like I said, Thompson Pass winter storm warning for heavy snow, blowing snow. Back to the west, we have winter storm warnings here out over the southern half of the Seward Peninsula, possibly going to be upgraded here for the middle Yukon Valley. Snowfall amounts in those locations, 6 to 10, 6 to 12 inches through Monday morning. With low pressure sitting here, strong front working its way northeastward. So out over the Gulf, out over the Gulf, we're looking at icing above 6,000 and 8,000 feet in the precipitation producing clouds. Back to the west, especially above 4,000 feet over the southwest, and then up along areas south slopes and north of the Yukon River above 2,000 feet. So taking a look at winds at jet stream level, look at this jet core. We have 160 knot jet core pushing up into the southeast mainland. And another 165 knot jet core that's south of the Gulf, and just this broader trough that's out over the southwest. And then at 9,000 feet, 700 millibars, look at this wind field. Crossing the Alaska range, we have sustained winds locally over 80, 85 knots, overspreading 60, 70 knot winds into British Columbia and lower parts of the Yukon territory, and then out over the Gulf, just a broad area of 50 to 65 knot, even 70 knot winds. But more importantly, when we bring it down to 3,000 feet, so we have low pressure, it'll be sitting out here along the lower Yukon coastline. The wind field overspreading the Gulf later this Saturday night and Sunday, we're looking at southwest south winds, 50 to 65 knots. The core of that just east and southwest of Kodiak Island, and this is what is going to be lifting that moisture northward, as well as producing some very strong turn-again-arm winds and other areas that are susceptible to when we have these kind of wind fields. So we do expect the potential for severe turbulence along areas of the Alaska range, especially later this Saturday night through Sunday, and then areas of the Chugach and Kenai Mountains. Also, all along the Gulf Coast, surface to 6,000 foot, we could find severe turbulence with low-level wind shear because of the frontal boundary causing the turn in winds, and then also running down along the east side of Kodiak Island and on the North Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula back toward the eastern Aleutians, surface to 4,000 feet, and then just broad areas of moderate turbulence, basically from the spine of the Brooks Range south through the Yukon River Valley, including all the way down through the Alaska Range to the Gulf Coast, back toward the eastern half of the Aleutians. So again, turbulence will be widespread across the state on Sunday.